This week, I went to the world's largest band and orchestra clinic in Chicago. Now, this is primarily a music education conference for music teachers, but there are dozens of excellent performances, clinics, and it's generally a great networking event for composers who are in the band and orchestra world. I'll be sharing my thoughts and advice if you're considering going to the Midwest Clinic this year in December, along with 18,000 other people. Now, as a musician in general, going to the Midwest Clinic is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Now, if you're considering going as a composer, it's actually a great idea because the exhibit hall is full of the top educational music publishers, as well as thousands of band and orchestra directors and other composers your age who are also trying to network within this industry. Now, there's a caveat because the Midwest Clinic is primarily for music educators, so I want to share whether it was worth it for me as a composer going to the Midwest Clinic, in fact going for the past 4 years in a row. So yes, I've been going to the clinic since 2021 when I was a sophomore in undergrad studying music composition. And since going every single year since then, I've been able to get a good idea of what it's good for composers and what it's not so good for. Now, I originally heard of the clinic through podcasts and books, and the Midwest Clinic kept on popping up in these conversations from some of my favorite composers, especially in the educational concert world. So I naturally did some research and found out that it was held in Chicago every single December, which is where I'm from actually. So I figured this would be a great opportunity because I write educational concert music and it was really close, so the commute was not too bad. So as a sophomore music composition major, I decided to go to the clinic by myself in December, and I had a great experience. Now, one of the best takeaways from the first few years of attending was being able to meet some of my favorite composers. I was able to meet names such as Eric Whitacre, Frank Ticheli, Brian Balmage, Viet Quang, Julie Giroux, John Mackey, and more. On top of the giant exhibit hall where they displayed a ton of sheet music and products, there were also dozens of exemplary performances for some of the top middle school, high school, collegiate, and professional bands in the world. And on top of all of that, they also hold clinics where they talk about various topics relating to music education, but also composing. But those clinics for composers were few and far between. So I began to see this rift between who this conference was intended for. The majority of these clinics, and really the purpose of the Midwest Clinic, in my opinion, is primarily for music educators and publishers. As a composer who goes to these kind of clinics, and this is your first time, would you recommend composers who are in college or even in high school to attend this education conference?
I'd say it's definitely worth going. I think in order to write music specifically for like the education world, it's good to have a good idea of what educators want to teach and what they're looking for when they teach. You can write a band piece and stuff, but if you're writing it for educational purposes, you probably should know like what things would be good for a band at that level to know and to learn, right? In terms of rhythm and harmonic quality and such. I don't know, I've gotten a lot from just the sessions here, a lot of insight that's gonna help me as I go and compose more pieces on, things that band directors, they don't see in their band music and that they want to teach, could get you a bit of a leg up in the publisher world. It's like, hey, I'm the guy who does this rhythm, and not a lot of people do that.
That is true. And plus all the, if you're an educational composer, this is like the bread and butter thing to go to. And also all the publishers are literally, that's how Leonard, you're probably not going to get published with them, but they have all sorts of publishers here.
Yeah.
And you can like talk to them directly and even submit stuff. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Most of the clinics were geared towards other music teachers, such as how to grow a successful band program, how to fundraise, challenges with work-life balance, and things like that. Through all my time, there have only been a handful of clinics specifically dedicated to composing. I found the clinic to be a showcase for the music publishers to have their music on display in the exhibit hall, as well as exhibiting it through performances throughout the entire week. And from my perspective, it seemed that the composers who went to the Midwest Clinic were sort of picking up the breadcrumbs of whatever was left in the schedule. And if you're going to the clinic as a new composer, you might be sorely disappointed if you're not currently a well-established or performed composer. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go, and I'm going to be talking about that later. Now, here are some of the insider tips that you want to know if you're going to the Midwest Clinic. And I shot this actually at the event itself, so check that out now. What are some pro tips for Midwest so that you can survive? Like Survival Guide 101 for Midwest. Don't buy food here.
Pro tips: don't stay in a hotel next to Midwest.
Ooh, save yourself some money.
Expensive.
Yeah.
We stayed at a hotel that's like a 35-minute bus ride from the conference center,
It's worth it.
but it's a much cheaper.
Yeah. And free breakfast. I doubt.
And we had free breakfast.
I doubt they have free
that was
breakfast
a huge plus.
here.
Our hotel is also right next to a Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Pro tip: bring your own food.
Yeah, you can make your own lunches.
The
pack your own
conference
lunches.
here, the food is ungodly expensive
Ooh.
and not good.
It's not good. Another pro tip: you don't really need to go the last day.
Yeah,
Not
there's
much- there's not
two
much there.
performances on Saturday, I believe.
Unless you have to.
And I'm sure that they'll be great
Yes.
because they're at Midwest. So they're clearly accomplished
But
ensembles.
if you are like from out of town and you need to know if you need to spend another day at the hotel, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, and always look at the program in advance. None of us decided to stay Saturday because nothing really tickled the fancy, I guess.
How do you know what sessions are the good ones, are worth it?
If it says product showcase in the title,
It's like a unskippable ad on YouTube.
yeah, I don't know. Some people have said that those ones end up being okay.
Some of them could be good.
But typically, if you see a session that is sponsored by a certain product or certain company, or it says product showcase, it is almost always going to be exclusively like, here's this product to buy, or here is my newest book.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fans of those sessions. If you're someone who really wants to learn about different products like that, go for it. If you're someone who wants to learn something, there's some presenters that will give an abstract of their presentation. Read those, because that's also kind of, some of the titles are very misleading.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the titles you'll think like, wow, like this might sound like something I would love to go to, and then you read the abstract and it's, oh, I didn't know it was going to be about that.
Yeah.
Or some of them you might read the abstract and you're like, wow, their title would not lead me to believe that the session is about this, but this
Right.
is something I would actually love to learn
the
about.
titles can end up being misleading if you don't.
Because
really-
they're all like very showy titles, understandably, because you want people to go to your session, so you have to name it something.
Yeah. Just like a YouTube title and thumbnail. It's clickbait. It's live clickbait. That's Michael Doherty.
Huh?
Let's see. Bring walking shoes. Bring layers because it gets hot. Bring a notebook of some kind.
Please bring a notebook.
Just straight up knowledge. Straight up nuggets.
Well, I invite you to bring a physical notebook to write in, because what I have seen for most of these presentations is that people intend to take notes on their phone or on their iPads. If you're an iPad user,
What else is on an iPad?
I'm games. You know what I've seen people do in sessions?
What?
Is that some people are doing like online crossword puzzles. There was one person was doing a Wordle. And if you bring a physical notebook, you don't have to worry about those kinds of distractions.
That's true.
You paid a lot of money to go to the conference, so you should probably pay attention in the sessions. Yeah.
I was on Dorico earlier.
I know you were.
And here are some additional considerations for going. Find hotel accommodations well in advance so you get the best rates. And if you have the luxury of traveling as a group, you're going to save a lot of money by splitting the hotel and transportation costs. I recommend staying in the downtown Loop area or near the Magnificent Mile, which is just a few miles away from the convention center, and easy access with public transportation straight down to McCormick Place, which is where the Midwest Clinic is held. You're going to save a lot of money doing that versus staying at one of the adjacent hotels. Since this is a networking event, I highly recommend having business cards or a QR code to get to your website in case you meet potential colleagues or directors who might be interested in your music. And on your off days, make sure to plan some fun events, especially if you're going as a group or you have someone else going with you. For me, I went to the Chicago Symphony, and it was a really fun event in between the clinic days. And the most important thing I recommend is going outside of your comfort zone. Specifically if you're a student or a young composer who's going to this for the first time, or if you're alone, it can be really intimidating to go and try to network and such. So if you're just planning on going there to just check out a few clinics and performances and go home, I feel like you're sorely robbing yourself of great networking opportunities. So that's something I had to do, and it's a little scary, but try to go outside your comfort zone to meet new people and experience new things that you normally wouldn't. And lastly, like fine wine, the Midwest Clinic gets only better over time. During my junior year in undergrad, I got my music published by one of the top music publishers in the country, Carl Fisher, and they exhibit at the Midwest Clinic every year. So since then, I've been able to have my music on display during the clinic, which has been a really fun opportunity. In addition, being able to meet the publishers in person and going out to dinner with some of the editors and other composers, it's just been one of the most amazing things ever for me as a composer. So that's why it's been an annual thing to go each year, to be able to interact with them, as well as networking with people that I've met online, in school, and through other ways. And it's sort of a great mecca for music educators, composers, and performers to meet in one place every single year, to catch up and to forge new connections. And the more people I meet throughout the year and over time through several years, it just becomes a more enjoyable experience the more people you know. And I found that every single year I've been going, it's been getting better and better, simply just because of those connections I've made. So after going to the Midwest Clinic for the first time and you don't have a great experience because you're brand new and you don't really know anyone, that's normal, it's perfectly normal, but don't count out going, in a few years or later on down the road, because again, the more people that you meet, the better the experience is going to be. Oh, also, I've been able to meet a lot of my fans here on this YouTube channel in person, so it's been a fantastic way to actually meet some of you, so I hope to see you there next December. Now, if you write for band or orchestra and you want to have your music performed there one day, then consider checking out this video where I talk about ways to make your music stand out, especially if you're just starting out. But thank you so much for watching, and keep writing.